Hello, Mr. Calvin. Can you hear me?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah,
Um,
no worries.
I really appreciate.
I'm not I'm not at home, so it might be a little bit noisy, but uh, sorry
No, no,
for that.
it's totally fine. By the way, do I have your permission to record this interview for like
Mm-hmm.
presentation purposes?
Mm-hmm. So no worry, it's fine.
All right. So my colleagues will also be joining us in a while. Um,
Mm-hmm.
just in a second.
Okay. So are you doing an undergrad program or a master's?
I'm doing an undergraduate uh, in business administration, and we are
Mm-hmm.
basically recording. We're doing this project for our international
Uh-huh.
relations course, and
Mm-hmm.
we have to basically explain some sort of this a political situation to the class, and that is why we thought about doing the this project on Taiwan crisis, and I saw your article in the Diplomat, and I thought that I should contact you, and you responded. So
Okay,
thank you so much.
of course. So do you have a focus area like about Taiwan or the geopolitical dynamic?
We were going to basically ask you questions in like a holistic manner, so different things
Uh-huh.
that impact Taiwan basically, and mostly through an like international relations perspective.
Mhm. I see.
Is it possible for you to share your screen or your yeah, thank you so much.
Yes.
So I think I will start off the interview, I guess. Um, I
Mhm.
think my colleagues are a little late. Um, so could you tell us about so the first question is what lessons can Taiwan and its people and its leaders draw from the ongoing war that is happening in Ukraine and the events in the Middle East, the Hamas and Israel situation, from a defense
Yes.
and foreign policy point of view, and the whole of world resilience perspective that you talked about in your article.
So the question is about what like the Ukrainian experience provide Taiwan or
Yes, Ukraine and also
okay.
what's going on in the Middle East.
For me, I don't know much about the situation in the Middle East. Um, Especially the type of threats or the conflict in the Middle East is quite different from what happened in Ukraine or in the Taiwan Strait. But in Ukraine, I think the Taiwanese government has recognized the importance of a symmetric strategy, which is emphasize a small mobile lethal weapon systems with a lower budget to counter against a larger military like Russian army. In the past, I would say 1 decade, although the DPP administration under President Taiwan, uh, some DPP people or general advocate for a symmetric strategy, but the reform has been lagged or and face quite uh, opposition from the military community and the Ministry of National Defense. But after the Ukraine war, uh, I think even many people in the military community or the M&D also recognize the effectiveness of asymmetry capabilities or asymmetry strategy. And the other one is the work with people see there's a opportunity or possibility that a conflict will last over 1 or more years. Uh, the Taiwan Straits and Ukraine is of course different. Taiwan is an island, so it's hard for Taiwan to get supply from other friendly countries. But Taiwan still needs to prepare for like sustain itself for a long time. So that's why the Taiwanese government, especially under the new president Lai Ching-te, he created a new community called Whole of Society Defense Resilience Committee to incorporate to invite other like expert or people in different community in the society to work together and think about how to sustain Taiwan's defense and its operation if there is a military conflict with China. But I think these are at least these two are sorry there's noise. But can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, sure. Could you please
Okay,
explain
so
what the whole of society resilience framework is all about?
yeah, so let me move. So it's about well it involve lesser aspects including infrastructure, energy, cybersecurity, uh, uh, and like material and resources for medical, foods, and think about water. So it focuses on maintaining and also about the communication and telecom system. So the goal is to maintain the operation of the government and society and allow them to support the military to continue its defense against Chinese invasion. Um, so that's probably the framework and the goal of it. And the communities, like actor and people from different social, different sector of the society, including a civil defense group and some NGO focusing on cybersecurity or like diplomacy. So I think it's not limited to the military front, but also take economic and other aspects into account.
All right. So, Nawal, do you have any question for Mr. Calvin?
Hello, hello, Mr. Calvin. I hope you're doing well.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Yes, thank you for joining us.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Thank you for having me.
yes. So, I wanted to ask that according to you, what is the optimal role for the United States in the Taiwan Strait? Should it maintain its ambiguous policy or adopt a more explicit commitment to Taiwan's defense, especially now that China is increasingly demonstrating its growing military capability?
I think for the US government, its policy is when we, or at least I will call it blue deterrence. So basically, the United States wants to maintain the status quo. So if China invades Taiwan, so the United States doesn't want China invades Taiwan, but also doesn't want Taiwan to declare independence. And if Taiwan declare independence, like will probably trigger China's invasion. So a clear commitment to defend Taiwan will encourage the Taiwanese government to like do something like they move towards independence. So I think from the perspective from the based on the interest of the United States, I personally don't think the United States need to give a clear commitment. But practically, the U.S. government is like increasing its military support in cooperation with Taiwan, which definitely enhance their deterrence against China.
Okay, thank you.
Or
Right. Yusra Harim, if you have any question.
maybe I can add one. Like from the Chinese government perspective, it is a clear commitment from the United States is definitely in the interest of Taiwan, and many people in Taiwan expect that. But I don't think. I think it's counter against the U.S. interest, so like it's unlikely to happen in the near future. I think.
Okay.
Hi, Mr. Calvin. This is Yusra. I hope you're doing well.
You.
Thank you so much for joining. So my question was that what lessons can Pakistan learn from the Taiwan conflict to prevent or mitigate similar conflicts in its own regions? For instance, Balochistan. Like I'll give you an example. For instance, Taiwan's regional autonomy demands are similar to that of Balochistan. So should Pakistan also consider decentralizing power?
Could you like introduce what kind of like security threats Pakistan is facing? Because I'm not expert at Pakistan, but I hope to provide my thoughts, if any, with you.
Yeah, like you could consider factors like economic disparities and resource exploitation, like anything that is similar to the Taiwan conflict, and any lessons that Pakistan could learn from that.
I'm not sure whether Pakistan's economy is relying on like several few neighbor countries, but for Taiwan, it is
Yeah.
definitely good to diversify its economic reliance and trade partners with much more country to enhance our economic security and resilience. And so I think it's economic front. And for Taiwan, I think one of Taiwan's advantage is Taiwan has a key role in the global supply chain, which make much more major countries have interest in Taiwan Strait. So other countries have an interest and incentive to intervene the conflict if there is a conflict. And they might like other countries, a diplomat and government will urge the Chinese government to stop their aggression. So it would better if Pakistan can also play a critical role in kind of supply chain, no matter it's about energy or technology. It might help. It might make other country stand with Pakistan if there's country with if there's a conflict with other country, and help to settle down the conflict. And the other, I think decentralized command and control is a characteristic of modern army, and we see the U.S. has adopted the philosophy since World War II or even before, even earlier. And the Ukraine war, what's happening in Ukraine, we also see the Ukraine army has adopted decentralized command and control that help their army to maintain their defense line. For Taiwan, we are at very early stage in adopting diversify or decentralize our command and control. So but I think that's a good approach for Pakistan or other military to learn.
Okay, thank you so much.
Right, Hamza, do you have a question?
Yes, sure. Hi, Calvin. Thank you for joining us today. It's me, Hamza, and I thanks you for being here with us today. I have a question with regarding the ongoing U.S.-China tech war and Taiwan's crucial role in the global semiconductor manufacturing industry. So, in this regards, how do you think that U.S. effectively can ensure that a continued supply of semiconductor for its industry in the face of Chinese sanctions and increasing dominance in technological competition? For example, we have recently seen a pattern of China dominating the EV market. So, what are your comments on this?
Could you repeat or type your question in the chat, because I think there's
Sure.
noise.
Sure, Calvin. My question was, how can US effectively ensure the continued supply of semiconductor for its industry in the face of Chinese sanctions and increasing dominance in the technological competition?
For me, I think one strategy is of, say, friendshoring to allies, like US allies. Make US allies has more capability to produce semiconductor, like South Korea, and Japan, and maybe countries in South Asia and Southeast Asia. For me, the Biden because semiconductor fabrication or manufacturing is not a profitable sector for the U.S. economy. So that's why the United States has outsourced this production to Asian countries like South Korea, and Japan, and Taiwan. And I don't think the U.S. government's subsidy is sustainable. I don't think it's sustainable. So the better approach for the US is friendshoring to its friendly, like-minded or allies countries to produce those semiconductor and maintain good relationship with this country. But one thing I heard from my friends in technology industry is at least Southeast Asian country, like Thailand or Malaysia, they have or had relation with the United States or Japan. But the infrastructure hasn't been improved and good enough for like investment for like Taiwanese company. So so I think there is an opportunity for the U.S. investment into South Asia and Southeast Asia to improve infrastructure and build up new factory for producing. And of course, that will enhance the relations between United States and countries in Indo-Pacific, and ensure there's a supply chain working effectively within the kind of the liberal camp or anti-China camp. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for your response, Calvin. Can you please add a few more points to this thing?
Sure.
Mr. Calvin, as we have recently observed a ban import from for Macron technology industries that is based in Taiwan and is backed by US. So as China has prohibited the purchase of Micron's memory chips for critical infrastructure and other domestic sectors, and they cited it as a serious security threat. And it possibly seems that in somewhat in near future, as the president of US also gave some statements regarding that US will back Taiwan in form of any confrontation with China. So do you think?
Hello? Hello, can anyone hear me?
Yes, I believe that
In such accelerating situation.
So, Hamza, can you repeat the question? I think you disconnected for a while.
Am I audible, Naki?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So my question was, we have recently observed that China has prohibited the purchase of Micron's memory chips for critical infrastructure and other domestic sectors, and they cited it as a serious security risk. So, possibly in near future, as following statements by U.S. President about backing Taiwan industry in form of any conflict with China, U.S. of US that they will Taiwan's military. So in this regards, do you think organizations like Asian can play facilitating dialogue and promote regional stability? Like, I hope it.
So let me clarify the question. So the question is a question about whether the United States would like attack Taiwan's semiconductor fabs if China attacks Taiwan.
Can you please repeat your words,
So
Kelvin?
it is your question about whether the United States will attack Taiwan if attacks Taiwan's semiconductor fabs if China attacks Taiwan.
Right. I think we have sort of lost connection with Hamza. So maybe Shazin Fatma has a question for you.
Am I audible?
Hi.
Hi, everyone. I hope you're doing well. So I was going through your article about whole of society approach.
Mm. Could you repeat the question?
To defense, right? So my question, should I repeat?
Yes, sorry, I didn't hear your question. I think there's
Oh,
a
okay.
noise
So,
or, you know.
uh, so my question was, I was going through your article about Taiwan's whole of society approach to defense, right?
Yes.
So, my question is, what role do you see international cooperation, particularly with the US, playing in enhancing Taiwan's non-military resilience against hybrid threats from China? Did you get it?
No, sorry. Maybe could you type in the chat?
So let me ask the question that Shazin was trying to ask. She was asking that given the emphasis on Taiwan's whole of society approach to defense, what role do you see international cooperation, particularly with the US, playing in enhancing Taiwan's non-military resilience against hybrid threats from China?
Okay, thank you. I think one thing is there are two aspects I think the US government and other countries can help. One thing is cyber security, which the US have an advantage in this domain. And we have seen maybe even before 2016, the US government has helped Taiwan to strengthen our cybersecurity against China's cyber attack. we expect there will be a shutdown of communication when there is attack. Not only because China's cyber attack, but also when a country or when a country faces a crisis, people just feel panic and start to call their family and friends. So when September 11 happens, the U.S. Telecommunication network also shut down because people were panic and call their friends, and it's just over the capacity of the system. So I think one thing the U.S. and some other country can help is about cybersecurity and strengthen Taiwan's communication systems resilience. The other part is energy. I think Taiwan will need to increase its stockpile of energy like coal and natural gas, liquefied natural gas. So Taiwan might need to buy much more natural gas from other countries, and maybe it's good for Taiwan to cooperate on these fields with some like country have energy reserve. And yes, that's my understanding. Maybe it's not very comprehensive, but I think this the two fields. I think Taiwan's civil defense or non-military front need to be strengthened.
Right. I think Zaire has a question for you.
Chance?
Just a second. I think Zaire has a question for you. Zaire, please go ahead.
All right, am I audible?
Hello.
Hello. So first of all, congratulations on Taiwan's National Day.
Thank you.
So I was just going through an article on Reuters, and I believe the Prime Minister Lai Ching-te extended an olive branch to China, emphasizing regional peace, where he said that Taiwan and the China should work together for peace and prosperity in the whole region. So I want to ask, how is Taiwan's approach to China evolving from its historical stance of claiming the mainland China? Because we know that Taiwan has a claim on the mainland China.
Yes.
And the second part of my question is, how might Taiwan's efforts at fostering this cooperation, despite all these tensions in the region, affect regional actors like Pakistan, which has a long-standing one China policy due to the relations with the mainland China?
So is the second question about how Taiwan can work with China, or how Taiwan can work with other country like support one China policy or principle?
No, the first part of the question is about the stance of Taiwan. I mean, is it evolving? I mean, if we go 20 or 30 years back, it was, hardcore with China. I mean, there was we've seen very little times when Taiwan extended the olive branch. But today, the Prime Minister said that Taiwan and China should work together for peace and prosperity, and China should play its role in, bringing peace to the region. And the second part of my question is about how these efforts of Taiwan affect the regional actors like Pakistan, which have a long-standing one China policy.
I think for questions about lighting the speech, Taiwan's official name is Republic of China, which claims, the mainland is part of our territory. And most Taiwanese don't want unification with China. Some people even prefer Taiwan independence. And for the PRC, for the Chinese government, Taiwan being part of Republic of China rather than Republic of Taiwan is still better. So it's so I believe the Beijing government didn't and doesn't expect President Lai Ching or Tsai Ing-wen say we are part of China like the PRC, but claiming we are the ROC, which in the name still includes China, is still better than the Republic of Taiwan or only Taiwan. So it's a way for Taiwanese leaders like President Tsai Ing-wen and Lai Ching-te to show their restraint on moving to Taiwan independence, which will like make the Beijing government really unhappy. And it's also one way like President Lai Ching-te wants to show his restraint, but also urge the Chinese government show their give a positive response to his restraint. It kind of urged both sides to compromise on this issue to enhance potential opportunity for cooperation and dialogue, which I think China has shut down for over 8 years. And for how Taiwan and other country, how Taiwan can cooperate with other country, I think one thing every country care about business. So one thing I can add on the previous question is Taiwan can work with other country on enhancing supply chain, reduce Taiwan's reliance on China. So Taiwan definitely hope other country can buy Taiwan's fruit and product, but Taiwan also need other country to produce what China is producing, even though they are like cheap or low profitability, but it is still work opportunity. It also creates job opportunity for other countries like South Asia or Southeast Asian country. So Taiwan can buy this product from like country like Pakistan or India rather than China, and that help Taiwan reduce its reliance or dependency on China. And in terms of business, I think most countries welcome business opportunity or welcome investment from Taiwan. So I personally encourage Taiwanese government to invest in India and Pakistan. We have a policy goal like southbound policy, which means like going to the south, including South Asia and South Asia. But one obstacle that Chinese company have faced is infrastructure issues. So although the TSMC want to invest in Thailand, India, but there is the issue with a stable water and energy supply, which are important to produce semiconductor. So I think even though there is political problem about One China policy or One China principle, but there is opportunity to cooperate on a business domain. But even we don't talk about politics, there's still difficulty in infrastructure and investment. So I hope I answer your question.
Yeah, thank you.
Right. I think Hamza has the question. He lost
Yes.
connection.
Thanks, Naki. I think I'm audible and I'll continue with my previous question. So, Mr. Kelvin, my question was that China has recently imposed sanctions or they have prohibited the purchase of US-based Micron memory chips that is being used for critical infrastructure and other domestic sectors. And the fascinating thing was that China termed it as a serious security risk, whereas US president stated their support for Taiwan military in case of any military confrontation, which substantially increases the possibility of confrontation in the region. So my concern is with the security in the region, that what role can international organizations like ASEAN play in facilitating dialogue and promoting the regional stability?
Yeah, I think one thing ASEAN country can do is have a, I believe it's hard for ASEAN countries if there is China's influence. But I believe one thing ASEAN country can do is have a statement on the importance of peace and stability of Taiwan Strait, because ASEAN country definitely has interest in the stability of Taiwan Strait when ASEAN country have trade with South Korea and Japan. We have seen European Union, especially their parliament and NATO quads have statement on kind of supporting Taiwan, but the emphasis is the stability of Taiwan Strait, which kind of urge both sides of Taiwan and China to maintain the peaceful status quo. So I think that's one thing that ASEAN countries can do on the diplomacy. And the other is, I think definitely Taiwan should do more on these fronts. But it would be great to build a deeper economic relationship between Taiwan and ASEAN countries. And there are several ASEAN countries also member is a member of CPTPP, which Taiwan is trying to join. So for Taiwan, it would be great if ASEAN country, but also CPTPP members can help and support Taiwan to join CPTPP, which will benefit the previous goal I mentioned, like enhancing Taiwan's economic relations with between these countries. And yes, there is one. And about the South China Sea, feel like the Philippines and Vietnam and Malaysia also have kind of conflict with China. But there's my understanding is there's no agreements on South China Sea among ASEAN countries. So it would be better if countries can have discussion and try to forming an agreement on South China Sea. And if the dialogue includes Taiwan, that would be definitely helpful, because Taiwan also have a claim over South China Sea, which I personally feel confused or don't like it. But so far, it would be better if the dialogue can include Taiwan and discussing issue with South China Sea, or maybe discussing how to counter against China's gray zone aggression, which Vietnam and the Philippines are also facing.
All right, Mr. Chu, thank you so much for taking your time out to have a chat with us. It was really informative and insightful. And yes, again, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's great conversation with you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Gavin. For insightful and invaluable. Thank you so much.
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you.
Yeah. Hope your project going well.
I will definitely update you on that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye.
Yeah, have a nice day too.